This is Shaun Sport in podcast form.
A couple of awards nights overnight, starting with over at the SANFL, the Sandful. Very strong Sandful. Love that. Harry Grant won the McGarry Medal, which is a time-honoured award, Nate. Best player in the competition.
Okay.
He's from Central Districts and the Bulldogs. Lee Spur, we picked up Lee Spur many years ago from Central Districts. And they won like 9 out of 10 premierships in a row.
Wow.
Can you imagine how hated you would be winning that many?
Yeah.
Subiaco kind of had the run in that era when they were very strong as well.
Yeah, and so he went from and straight into another premiership team.
Not quite,
No, but he went to the Dockers.
He felt that. Did you won premierships in your lower ranked teams?
Lower ranked.
I don't know what they're called. Yeah. How many did you win?
Well, it's one of those things when you're talking about junior sport, because a lot of people always talk about you'll never get to play in a grand final again, so everyone needs to be savoured. So I went from Willetton to East Fremantle, so I spent 4 years between them and won a premiership every year. And then I went to Freo. I didn't play in a final until 2003. So nearly 9 years, I think.
So you got to you played in a prelim?
Played a prelim when we got beaten by Sydney. They were well too structured for us. We were a bit freewheeling.
Well, premierships, they must be fun to win, yeah?
Yeah. It became, to be honest, when that was that period of my life.
You're like, you win them all the time.
Oh, right.
And then you never won one again.
I just go to Fremantle. Honestly, when I went to Fremantle, I was thinking, I'll probably win the Brownlow, I don't know, maybe the next couple of years. I'll win a flag, whatever. It's just those things happen.
It's just the way it's going to go.
No
wonder you were so invested in your junior footy grand final on the weekend. No wonder.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. Well, once you get there, you're into it, that's for sure. So anyway, well done to those guys. To Harry in particular. Last night we saw that Hamish Brayshaw took out the Sandover medal. He was one of the favourites last year. Hamish is one of the Brayshaw brothers. Now we see Angus, who's in the spotlight at the moment because he was knocked out on the weekend by Braden Maynard. We'll talk about that a bit later on. Andrew Brayshaw is the
champion.
AFL's, as voted by the AFL's players last year, the best player in the competition. He's a champion of the game. And his brother now winning a Sandover, who stayed here once he came to the West Coast Eagles, Nathan, last year. He ended up staying here the last couple of years, and he's played for East Perth. So that's fantastic.
Oh, that's
their family as a sporting unit are unbelievable.
I still feel like families like that should be studied.
Yeah.
Like literally ripped from their lives and put in a lab.
Well, the old man Sticks Brayshaw would say that's all on him, but definitely the mum. Definitely.
Yeah, right. Yeah. Is that where the talent comes from?
I'm saying
you're
yes.
saying that, absolutely.
Well, I would never give Sticks the credit.
What's her pedigree?
I think she was a netball. I'm going to say
okay.
netballer.
She was a football.
No wonder they've.
It's just amazing. So, no one saw it coming.
Tonight, Fremantle Dockers have their Fairest and Best on a Tuesday, so everyone's going, it's a school night for God's sake. But Caleb Serong will definitely.
But none of them go to school, so it's fine.
No, absolutely. But it stops.
Are you going to go along?
No, because it's school night.
Yeah, right.
We had a function yesterday, so I went to that one, and then tonight is the night. So good luck to Caleb Serong. I'm sure he'll be taking that award.
I'll meet you at the quadrangle for recess.
Good on you, mate.
It's 6 to 7 coming up shortly.
Sorry, do all schools have quadrangles still?
Yeah, I would think. Well, yeah, I would think they'd have some sort of.
Does your kids'
area.
school have a quadrangle?
Yeah.
Do they call it the quadrangle?
They have names to those areas now. Like CBC
Did you have a quadrangle at your school, Harry?
Yeah, there's a few around. We had an undercover area.
No, but did they call it the quadrangle?
Primary school we did.
We had a quadrangle.
We had a quadrangle.
We had a quadrangle too.
The quadrangles are a thing.
Yep.
We've established that.
Do you think they were just trying to teach us shapes?
I know, because was it a quadrangle? What is a quadrangle?
Well, a four-sided.
So it's a square. So anything was a quadrangle. Then why didn't they just tell us go sit there? What are they making this like quadrangle for?
Well, it obviously didn't work.
Well, tonight is all about Braden Maynard, should I say.
No one can say his name right.
I don't know. I think you go to...
Maiden Brainard.
Yeah. Braden? I always say Braden for whatever reason. What's Braden off, Nathan? It was a famous Braden show.
No, it was about probably, it would have been 20 years ago. The Earth seemed to have been wading through a sea of Bradens.
It's true.
There were Bradens being born everywhere.
It was very fashionable for a while.
It was very fashionable.
He's going up to the tribunal tonight. Was going to be very interesting because what happened to start with is that the match review officer, Michael Christian, allowed it he acknowledged that it was a football act, and Angus Brayshaw being knocked out It was just part of the game.
As in bad luck.
Bad luck.
right.
So the AFL has the right to appeal on their behalf. So they've appealed it and sent it straight to the tribunal and said this cannot happen. So they are going hardcore for at least a 3 to 4 week suspension straight on. For them, on the AFL side, they've got to do this because there's, over in the US, I'm not sure if you've seen, but there's like a $2 billion lawsuit going on with head concussions. And as it always starts in there, 2, 3 years, 5 years down the track, it happens in here.
Usually at these tribunals, they look at intention, don't they?
Yes,
and then they look at result.
Yep.
And at the moment, result outweighs intention.
A lot of people, Nathan,
Yes?
a lot of people
When it
are
comes down to the bare
suggesting,
bones of it.
you are putting yourself, you are putting someone else's, I guess, life at risk by taking that action. Your action is to jump off the ground, and once you do that, you've surrendered your right.
Yeah. So knowing that, and we've talked about this for a while, will that stop people from jumping off the ground? Because if it's not your intention, but you're being judged on the result.
Yeah. Well, every rule comes in, there'll be a reaction to it.
Yes.
And that might have to be taught. One thing that will happen is that I believe firmly that he will get suspended, and then that Collingwood will appeal it, and then it'll go.
Because the important thing,
that.
it's the timing. We're in finals, so if he gets if he gets 2 games, he misses the grand final if they make it.
Wow,
Yes.
wouldn't that
Yes.
So
That's good news.
that becomes an even bigger factor on top of it.
He's a big time player for their team as well. On
but also
AFL
for him personally, do you know what I mean? Yeah.
On AFL 360 last night, they asked Ross Lyon, who was on there, and this is his thoughts on the situation.
If you elect to bump, you're responsible. If you hit the head, you're responsible. But there's been nuance and grey area added to that. I think that's indisputable. So what level of nuance? And when do you own your action? Is it when you jump off the ground to try and smother rather than run to it? I don't think it's just the last bit of contact. I think it's your decision to launch and try and smother and understand where that's going to propel you into what path.
So when do you
take responsibility? I feel like when you're in the air.
But also, on top of that, as a coach...
that can't be your responsibility when you're air, though, because you can control jumping off the air. That's your control. Once you're in the air...
You can move your body around.
Yeah, I know, but like...
Yeah,
you know what
do
I mean?
it all the time.
We're not built for the air. We're land creatures.
No, but I know... Yeah, I mean, wholeheartedly, if that was... There's 2 things. If I had have jumped like Maynard did to try to smother the ball, I could have still continued
He turned his body into him.
contact, and he knew would be safe as houses, but he turned his body.
Yeah.
And the guy weighs, say 90-odd kilos, and he's a powerful man.
Yeah.
Now, Ross Lyon's saying that, though, as a coach, he would 100% expect his players to be jumping for the smother. Wouldn't he?
Yes,
It's a
so getting
1%
back to
thing.
it, Nat, if his player was in this situation, he's going to defend him to the hill, but he's saying from an outsider's point of view that,
but what I'm saying is the coaches are pressuring players to do that extra 1% all the time, and that's kind of what that was.
Yeah. And then if you choose not to do that extra 1%, later on when you're looking through the review phase, you're saying, why didn't you go for that? And you go, actually, to be honest, I felt like a little bit...
Yeah,
like
I didn't want to put my opponent in danger.
Yeah, and then they turn around. Wouldn't you get sprayed for that?
Well, it's going to change to a point where I need you to charge out the guy without jumping in the air and concussing him. I'm sure we can all do that. I think we're going to get to the point where we go.
So it's the jumping.
Well, that's what they're saying. There was a rule a couple of years ago. They were saying
he could jump a dozen times and not concuss. Do you know what I mean? Like that happens all the time.
I know, but they're saying it's a duty of care when you are in the air and you've he's rolled.
Oh, I agree.
And you know what? If I was in that circumstances, I can imagine myself doing that, and I would be thinking I would put a little bit of force into it. I'm not saying that that's what his decision. Oh, you can't guess what someone's thinking.
Yeah. I know.
But certainly there's an outcome, Nathan, which you said at the start. There's an outcome here.
Yeah.
And the AFL have to do everything they can to be able to protect the person. And I feel terribly sorry for Maynard in this situation.
Oh, yeah, of course.
Because there is no doubt there is pressure on players to give it their all. And to him, he probably thought he was doing that. And if that is to the detriment of your opponent, then it becomes problematic.
Which just sounds
and for Brayshaw, this is,
it's problematic for him.
It's massively problematic.
Over?
Yeah, that's right. We've seen what repeated concussions can do to somebody. So
just it sounds like no more jumping seems the safest option, which is
no more contact.
Well,
you
can.
Which really makes your ruck position interesting, doesn't it? Because you really do want the tallest person if they're not allowed to jump.
No, but getting back to what you said, though, if you were in that situation and you jumped and came at me and then you just went front on, well, that's not going to knock me out.
Yeah.
The turning of the body, because the argument would be I'm protecting myself.
That's right.
Well,
but you can't protect yourself to someone else's detriment.
Yeah, most definitely.
Tricky time.
Shaun Sport is a Nova podcast. For more great comedy shows like this, head to novapodcast.com.au.